Hi, I'm Larry Watkins with Specsure Property Inspections. I'm here today with our Smart Tip series. It's a collection of presentations designed to help you with some of the more common home repairs and maintenance issues you may be faced with from time to time. Before we begin, please take a moment to read the following important message. Preparing for a good fire requires more than some old newspapers and a book of matches. The choice of wood is critical. Should you use a hard or a soft wood? The two are actually very similar in their chemical composition, but their densities vary greatly. The more dense the wood, the more efficient and longer lasting the burn. Equally important, if not more so, is the seasoning of the wood. And seasoning is nothing more than the length of time the wood is allowed to sit undisturbed and exposed to the elements of weather and allowed to dry. Remember from part 1 of our series, the goal here is to burn wood with a moisture content level of 20% or lower. The longer the wood is allowed to season, the closer you will come to reaching that goal. You can help the seasoning process when you store the wood. And when you store the wood, you're stacking it basically. And what you want to do is stack it elevated off the ground so that air has a chance to circulate around it, that it doesn't end up sitting in a pool of water when it rains or snows. And then you want to cover it so that it is protected from the rain and the snow. And then lastly, you want to place it a sufficient distance from the home. And that has less to do with seasoning of the wood than it does to protect yourself from or limit the opportunity for wood-destroying insects and pests to enter your property. Things like carpenter ants and termites and the like. The next question is how do you know if the wood is properly seasoned? And you can Google it, you can go online and look, and you'll find a number of authorities will say anywhere from 6 months to a year. And I think a lot of it depends on the climate. If you live in a dry climate where you're not subject to a lot of high humidity and the wood has a better chance of drying out, 6 months is probably sufficient. But if your climate's a little bit wetter, like the Northeast, you probably want to go for 9 to 12 months. And short of buying a moisture meter for a couple, $200-300, you can generally judge if your wood is sufficiently seasoned by its appearance. Look to see if the wood if it's gray and weathered and it has some checks and cracks in the end grain, it's probably sufficiently seasoned. If it's still yellow or white in color, still has a little heft to it in terms of weight, it probably needs a little bit more time. And then the last thing in the preparation for your fire, you want to make sure that the wood is properly sized. Nothing worse than lugging all that wood into the house only to find out that the logs are too big to fit inside to your firebox or your wood stove. So make sure they're properly sized. Just a few more thoughts on wood selection. Burning a dry seasoned wood provides up to 25% higher efficiency, produces less creosote, ignites faster and smokes less, and is lighter to carry. You'll also find hardwoods such as oak and maple tend to provide a more efficient burn. This concludes this segment of our Smart Tips series on fireplaces and building fires. We hope you have enjoyed this presentation and found it to be beneficial. Thank you for visiting with us today, and we look forward to sharing additional segments with you in the near future. Have a great day, and come back often. We hope to see you soon.